if you're watching this video, you're probably in my A&PII class at Austin Community College for the spring semester of 2021. My name is Matthew Belzer, and I'm going to be your instructor this semester. I always like to start out every class by sending out an introductory email, kind of walking you through how to get started and providing you with an introductory video. So first things first, in order to be successful in the class, you're going to have access to an internet and a digital device of some sort like a computer because it is an online class. You're also going to have to be able to log into Blackboard. That is what's called our learning management system, and that's where the entire course is going to be run out of and where you can find everything you need to be successful in the course. When you log in to Blackboard, you're going to be directed automatically to the entry point, which is the announcements page. So the announcements page is really important because this is where I'm going to communicate critical information to the class, such as changes in the schedule, or if exams are, have been graded and I've gotten the grades on exams back or whatever it is, I'm always going to communicate that via the announcements page. All of the announcements that I create in the announcements page, when I hit submit, will automatically generate an email and send an email of that announcement to all of your ACC emails. So all of the above is probably a pretty good option for that orientation quiz question 1. So pay attention to your ACC email because you'll always know what's going on in the class. Now, the next tab down is the Tools tab. The only tool you're going to be using pretty frequently is the My Grades tool. That's the most important tool for you to know. That's where you're going to check to see if things have been graded, what your current point standing in the class is, etc. Stay on top of the My Grades. Know where you're at. Know where you need to improve. Again, I emphasize, do not use Blackboard Collaborate. I don't think it's a very good interface. I use Zoom instead, and I'm going to send out Zoom links for the Tuesday and Thursday sessions every Sunday evening. So every Sunday evening, you're going to be getting an email from me kind of walking you through what's going to be happening in the week. Now, an ancillary or kind of supplementary tool that I like to point out, so the My Grades is the most important tool, but another tool that gets a lot of use is the Send Email. When you click on Send Email, it'll bring up a list of everybody's ACC email in the class, and you can pick people to send emails to, or you can select all and send the email to the entire class, and that's great if you're like sharing handouts or practice problems or whatever it is, or if you find a cool video like on the cardiac action potential and you want to share it with everybody, that's a great thing to use. Course evaluation, that won't become relevant until later in the semester, probably with 4 or 5 weeks left in the semester. They'll open up course evaluations. That's where you'll evaluate my class, and that's always appreciated. I always incentivize that with just a couple of points of extra credit. Then you have the instructor information. So you have the web link to the biology website where you can find the times and dates of tutoring sessions. And Katie Winters is great. She's the one who does a lot of these, so I encourage you to use that. You can also find the Zoom, IDs and login information. So that tool is important. The instructor information, that's just about me. My name's Matthew Belzer. I have a master's in physiology. My email address is matthew.belzer@austincc.edu. Communicate with me via email. When you send me an email, have a very clear subject heading, and in the beginning of your email say, my name is blank, and I am in blank. So if you're in A&PII, say, I'm in your A&PII class. You don't have to give me section and synonym number or anything like that. So then I'll know where to look online. I'll be able to go, okay, I know what this student is talking about. I'll be able to find you easier because I have 150 students. And then write me a clear and concise email. Always send emails to me from your ACC email. I'm technically not allowed by departmental policy to respond to any email that's not an ACC email. So definitely use your ACC email when communicating with me. Now, weekly lecture sessions are going to be held on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8:50 p.m. I will send out the Zoom link to those sessions every Sunday. Make sure to pay attention. If you're logging in Tuesday, make sure to go to the Tuesday link. If you're logging in Thursday, make sure to go to the Thursday link. Now, down here you see Syllabus and Schedule. And I organize my syllabus in such a way that the most important information is kind of right in the beginning. So you'll see that I posted it as a Word and a PDF. And when you look at this, you see the class, you see the dates. My name, phone number, don't ever contact me there. I'm not on campus, and therefore it would be a bad way to try and get a hold of me. Email, on the other hand, I'll turn around and get back to you very, very quickly. Then I have the course information, section synonym number, and weekly class sessions. These are the synchronous sessions, will be held every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 8:50 p.m. And we're going to be covering a lot of material pretty quick. A&PII is a conceptually dense, memory-intensive class. The way that these study sessions are going to go, with the exception of the first one, the first study session is just going to be an hour, and we're going to cover the very basics of the endocrine system because I actually have an appointment that I can't get out of at 7 p.m. that day. Every other one is going to go all the way till 8:50. A typical study session will go like this. I'll lecture for an hour and 20 minutes, right? So if you're answering the question in the orientation quiz, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8:50 p.m., right? And I'm always going to send out a Zoom link on Sundays. Make sure to log in using the appropriate Zoom link. There's only one exception to that that's not evaluated on the quiz. The first session, I'm going to have to log out at like 6:55 because I have an appointment that I cannot get out of that day. Now, when you think about class sessions, right? So synchronous weekly class sessions. I'll lecture for probably an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes, and then I'll break you into small groups after a small break for usually an hour. And then we'll reconvene and we'll hit on some of the more conceptually challenging things to answer questions about them. Every study session is going to be worth 5 points. There are a total of 30 of them for a grand total with respect to points of 150 points. If you can't make this study session, if you watch the video and submit the handout from that day, I'll give you 70% credit for the week. Content quizzes. After every week, there's going to be a content quiz over whatever we went over that week. There are going to be a total of 13 quizzes at 11.5 points a pop for a total of 150 points. Labs, on the other hand, whereas lectures are going to be done synchronously, labs are going to be asynchronous. And labs are going to consist of digital modules, labeling activities, and activities in which I provide you data to complete the lab. There are 10 labs throughout the course of the semester. Submission of complete labs using the link provided will be worth 10 points apiece for a total of 100 points. Readings. We have the Merriam textbook. I give the pages in the Merriam textbook that correlate to the content we're going over. With that said, I do not require you to purchase a textbook. I hate making people spend a lot of money on a rapidly depreciating asset like that. So, I don't make you purchase a textbook. All of the information is going to be transmitted in the course and doing the handouts associated with the lectures and working in your groups. The book is nice to get a bit of a background, but I don't mandate that you buy it. It is nice to have it, and I definitely provide those readings on those pages. So you got other stuff. It's going to take a lot of time and effort, and I think you all know that because it's A&PII. It's one of the last weeding tools. Required materials. So it is mandated that I put required in order for Capital Idea students to get the textbook paid for. So I say it's required, but I put /recommended. This is the best textbook out there in my opinion, but if you can find like a 10th edition for like $20, you can get the 10th edition. The page numbers are going to correlate pretty closely, and you can just read the chapter we're on. If you are not going to purchase a textbook, you can always get the background reading by following the link to the OpenStax textbook. And OpenStax is just an open educational resource. It's a free anatomy and physiology text online that covers pretty much the exact same content, except without all the fancy bells and whistles. So, how are you going to be successful in this class? Well, have access to Blackboard. Make sure that you have a stable internet connection. We're going to be going over 12 core topics. Each unit is going to consist of a series of lectures and lecture handouts. So I'm going to lecture, and then there's going to be handouts posted, and your job is going to be to work with your groups to complete those handouts, and the content from those handouts, which is intended to reinforce the material that was just taught, is going to be a primary focal point for exams. At the end of each unit, we'll have an exams. Exams consist of both lecture and lab material, and there will be check-the-box questions, meaning questions where you're just checking like multiple choice or true, false, or multiple answer questions. And there will also be short answer questions. So check the box and short answer questions. So you're going to see two separate exam links come up, but it's all part of the same exam. Each exam is worth 175 points. Multiply that out by the 4 units we're going over, and that's 700 total points from exam. When you take exams, not quizzes you can, or open book, open note, you can use whatever you want on the quizzes. It doesn't matter to me as long as you're learning the material. Exams, on the other hand, are definitely going to be proctored, and they're going to be proctored using what's called the Respondus lockdown browser. So you can download the Respondus lockdown browser at this link provided, and you can read about the Respondus lockdown browser and how to use it at this link provided. But essentially what the Respondus lockdown browser is, just like Google Chrome or Safari or Firefox, it's a browsing window. And what it does is it requires you to shut all of the windows and all of the applications that you have open before you can access Blackboard. If you send me an email saying, I need a password to get in, I know for a fact you're not using the Respondus lockdown browser and or not all of your applications are closed. So I'll work with you. I mean, I'm not going to put you through too much stress. I've been stressed with online proctoring and had a conniption fit one time. So I get it that it's stressful. If something isn't working or we run into snags, we usually work through that with the practice exam. And I don't want you to think that I'm going to be unfair on you. Like, no, oh my God, some tech issue is happening. Take a deep breath. Email me. We'll work it out. We'll figure it out, right? I'm not unfair in that respect. So exams are worth 700 points total. There's going to be 4 of them. They cover the unit material, and you can look at that. Asynchronous labs. We're going to highlight the asynchronous labs, but they're going to be a variety of things, ranging from digital interactive modules with objectives and guided notes to complete to more formal or kind of traditional labs. And then we have 13 lecture quizzes at 150 points, so each one's worth 11.5 points. And here's the grade breakdown. 1,100 total points in the class. There's your A, there's your B, there's your C. Get on the material early. Attend the class. Try to be proactive. Try and get your stuff done. Incompletes, only give incomplete, so you can read through all that stuff, the rule of 6, the rule of 3, all that crap. Incompletes, the department is very, very rigid about who can get an incomplete and who can't get an incomplete. I only give incompletes if all, and I mean every single one of the criteria for the incomplete is met, because the department takes them so seriously. So don't cheat, treat people with respect. You have the right to disagree with me. Students with disabilities. Student accessibility services, if you have an SAS accommodation, email me and I'm more than happy to work with you on an SAS accommodation, right? I'm a very easygoing guy. You work with me, I'll work right back with you. So COVID-specific things, all of this stuff after my first little thing that I'm going to talk about, those are just your standard COVID policies, and you can read through those. I think we all know that this thing called COVID is going on. One of the things I like to highlight is I give every student in the class gets one and only one mental health day. So I get that right now it's an incredibly stressful time, and there's a lot going on, and you're probably at home, you may have kids. And what the mental health day is, please don't use it unless you need it, but everybody is entitled to one mental health day. And if you email me and say, hey man, I'm taking my mental health day, I will push any assignment and or exam, because assignments and exams are never due on the same day, back 48 hours, right? To give you just a couple of days to collaborate. You can call in that favor once. So you can think of that mental health day as a warm fuzzy blanket and know, like, if worse comes to worse, I can always use my mental health day and then maybe cram for an exam right before it. I do that because I respect y'all as human beings first, and I get that it's kind of a tough time right now in the world. I can't be too lenient, but I like to give you guys the benefit of the doubt, and rather than fielding email after email, I don't mind giving everybody that. Some people will use it, some people won't. If you need it, use it, right? If you're a mom and you have 3 kids and you haven't slept in 48 hours and you just realized that an exam is due in 2 hours, use your mental health day. Then stay on top of the material a little bit better, upcoming, because you get one. But it's a little blanket for y'all, right? Now, the schedule is also incredibly important. In fact, I ask you a question on the quiz that says, what's due by Sunday, January 24th? Everything is always going to go up on, well, the quizzes are already up. All the Unit 1 material is up. But Chapter 16 Quiz Part 1, quizzes are always going to be due Sundays at 11:59 p.m., right before midnight. So all quizzes are due on Sunday by 11:59 p.m. All labs are due on Sunday by 11:59 p.m. All lecture exams are due on Sunday by 11:59 p.m. These quizzes are already available, and I'm going to show you exactly where to find them in just a moment. So one of the questions I ask you, just so you get used to reading through the schedule, because frankly, with respect to which document is more important, the schedule is probably the more important document than the syllabus because it walks you through what we're doing every day. So Tuesday, January 19th, that's going to be our one short day. Never going to have a short day after that. We're always going to be in class the whole time. And we're just going to go over the basics of endocrine anatomy that day, and then I'm going to log off. I'm going to take roll and log off at like 6:55 p.m. But you can see everything we're doing each day. And then at the end of each week, you get a weekly wrap up. So one of the questions on the quiz says, what's due Sunday, January 24th? Well, you have an orientation quiz. You have your Chapter 16 Part 1 quiz. And then if you look to that it carries over, you have your first lab, which is Module 7.1. You need to fill out the objectives and the guided notes and upload them in PDF format, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So you'll see that this kind of walks you through everything that we're doing. We have the lecture stuff over here, the lab stuff over here. We only have 10 labs, so some weeks have no labs. And so that's the schedule, and that's a really important document. Now, the orientation quiz, which is going over the syllabus, the schedule, and this presentation right here, can be accessed by going to the orientation quiz tab. Unit 1 material is broken into lecture and lab material. So lecture material, you can track along with the schedule, and Chapter 16 is going to be first, and you're going to see, okay, day 1, we're going over Lecture 1, Endocrine Basics. So that's where you're going to find the PowerPoint for the lecture that I'm going over that day. That's also where you're going to find the handout that you're going to be working on your working with your groups to complete. Probably not in one, but every single lecture after that. So Lecture 2, Lecture 3, then you see Chapter 16 Quiz Part 1. Everything that comes before this is fair game for Chapter 16 Quiz Part 1, which is due Sunday, January 24th. So we go over a lot of content even in the first week because A&PII 2 is an intensive course. So that's the lecture material, and if you open up one of these tabs, for example, you'll see a YouTube link, right, to the lecture. Same lecture we're going to be going over, so when you're in the lecture, you don't have to worry about writing everything down. Then you're going to see a lecture handout. This correlates with the lecture that's being given and asks you critical thinking questions and gives you activities. That's going to serve kind of like a study guide. And then you're going to see the lecture itself in PowerPoint and PDF format, and this is what we're going to be going over, and I'm going to draw really specific focal points when you break out into your groups on conceptual points that a lot of students struggle with on exams. So some of the humdrum stuff I may say skip over that or go over that really quick. I think you can go over that on your own, not skip it, but go over it on your own. And we'll focus on some of the more conceptually challenging stuff. So that's lecture material. Now if you look at Unit 1 lab material and you go to lab material, labs are either going to be digital modules, so labs 1 and 2 are digital modules, digital interactive modules, or they're going to be traditional labs in which I provide you with the data set. So let's go over lab 1. So we have a module over the endocrine system, and we have a handout called an objectives and guided notes handout. So you'll see endocrine module, and it'll say Module 7, the endocrine system. General definition, functions. Your job is to fill this out, either print it out and fill it in by hand, and or type your answers out. If you do type your answers out, use a different color than black for your answers, not for the questions, but for the answers. And you're just going to be going over the basics of the endocrine system in a kind of fun online digital format that's a shortened version of a textbook, essentially. So if you look at the module, right, it'll say, what is the endocrine system? What's an overview? Well, let's look. What are our glands, right? Got two types of glands, exocrine glands and endocrine glands. Read about it, and as you go through, the objectives and guided notes track right with this. They're just a way to kind of hone your note taking and to expose you to the anatomical and physiological aspects of the endocrine system. So that's the module, and your job is to use this module to fill out these objectives and guided notes. When you fill out these objectives and guided notes, whether you write them in by hand or you do it by typing it in a different color, don't copy off other people, because I definitely cross-reference and check using Safe Assign. Go to the link to upload the lab. So you click on the link to upload a lab, and then you'll see attach files. You're going to browse local files. Always, 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 always give it to me in Word or PDF format. Don't give me a link to your Google Docs or PNG formats or anything. If it's not Word or PDF, if I can't access it directly on the Blackboard website, I'm not downloading specialized software to be able to access it. Do not do that, because I'll just give you a 0. I won't even bother taking the time. PDF is by far the best. So use PDF, and if you're having trouble with that, email me. There are apps called Scan to PDF on your phone, all sorts of things that you can do to get by with that. So those are the digital labs, right? So Lab 2, Module 8.1, you have cardiovascular system blood, objectives and guided notes, and the link to the submission for that lab. Then some labs are going to be a little bit different, and these are predominantly the physiology labs. So here's a formal blood lab. What I did is I bought the book that the University of Texas uses, the lab book, and I just scanned it without paying copyrights. Just joking, I wouldn't do that to you guys. And so you're going to go over this, and there are things that you can fill out on your own, right? So you're going to read through and fill out the different activities, but there are also things that you're going to need data to fill out. So for example, you come to this first one, and it says unknown 1, unknown 2, unknown 3, and unknown 4. And you're like, well, I don't have any unknowns, so I don't know what he wants me to do here. When I say some of the labs will be formal labs in which I'll provide the data, if you go to the link that says the data for this lab, this is the unknown. So it'll say table 26.3, unknown 1, unknown 2, unknown 3, unknown 4, right? The slide on the next page correlates with table 26.4, so you'll be using this to do your differential white blood cell count. Table 26.6, there are your data points, etc. 26.7, 26.8, and those are all the different tables that'll allow you to kind of answer the questions about the lab. So that's a more kind of formal lab report. Rather than making you watch a long video like I'm doing right now, I do it in that way so you can just get the data and think about what the labs actually mean and how you interpret some of the results. Unit exams will always be posted Friday morning, and they'll be due Sunday evening. So if you look in the schedule, let's see, where is that puppy? Where is it? Oh my God, I've opened up so many things. If you look in the schedule, you'll see the first unit exam is due on Sunday, February 14th, so a few weeks down the road from now. On Friday, I upload it Friday morning, and it's available right until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. or pretty much Sunday at midnight. You can take the exam, it's 2 sections, anytime between that Friday and that Sunday. When you take a section, you can do it in whichever order you want. Short answer and then check the box, or check the box, then short answer. Right? You can do it in whichever order you want. Don't worry too much about time limits. I give you an incredibly generous time limit. But you are, for exams, not quizzes. Quizzes, open book, open note. But for exams, you're going to have to use the Respondus lockdown browser. You're going to have to open up your mic and your camera. Right? You're going to have to do those things. That's just a requirement of the class. Because if you were in a traditional class, you'd be proctored, and as much as I love all of you and think that you're probably honest people, some people are not, and I think that you could all probably agree with that. So thank you so much.